Hey, sports fans, back again, and today we're going to take a look at quarterback Mac Jones, a name that's been on the tongues of many following his national title victory over Ohio State. The Heisman finalist is a name that's been flying up draft boards and has gone from relatively unknown quarterback to potential top 10 pick in a matter of 2 years. But these are things you may already know. Today we're going to take a look at 10 things you didn't know about Mac Jones. Before we get into that, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to this channel. All done? Alright, let's go. Number 10. Mac got a DUI in college. During Mac's freshman year, the quarterback got into a car accident in the early morning hours of 2 a.m. while under the influence of alcohol. He went on to fail the sobriety test and allegedly had a fake ID. Luckily for Jones, he didn't injure anyone and also escaped unharmed. Unlucky for Jones, he was arrested. That same morning, head coach Nick Saban expressed how disappointed he was in the third stringer and suspended him for their upcoming game against LSU. Number 9. Mac got ejected while coaching a sorority flag football game. As the story goes, Jones took over coaching duties of the Zeta Tau Alpha sorority flag football team from teammates Tua Tagovailoa and Irv Smith Jr. in 2018 during his redshirt freshman season. Jones was said to take his coaching job seriously, maybe too seriously. One of the first things Jones did as a coach was double the size of Zeta's playbook. He then gave the quarterback a wristband with the players on it so he could call the plays from the sidelines. In one game, Mac was getting too vocal during the game and was ejected. Mac had to watch the rest of the game from the parking lot. Number 8. Jones's nickname is Joker. Jones earned the nickname from the former Alabama lineman Richie Pettibone one day while the two were hanging out at Pettibone's apartment. Jones was smiling huge and laughing spasmodically while reacting to something that was going on, and the lineman pointed out at Jones and declared he looked just like DC Comics villain the Joker. After that, the rest of the teammates began noticing the resemblance and his nickname took hold. Jones also happens to be somewhat of a clown in the locker room and in between serious moments during organized practices and workouts, so his teammates and coaches also vouch for his Joker resemblance at times. Number 7. He's fully aware of how unfit he looks. You may remember an unflattering combine photo of the GOAT, Tom Brady, back in 2000 when he looked like he'd never been on the same block as a gym. Well, Mac Jones has a pretty similar body and actually tweeted out a very unflattering photo of himself with the infamous Tom Brady picture for the whole world to see the resemblance and, of course, poke fun of himself. As you can imagine, Twitter had an assortment of reactions, but one thing was made clear by the whole ordeal. Mac Jones is comfortable in his skin, or maybe we could even call it thick-skinned, or a little bit of both. The point is, as the proverbial face of your franchise, you want your quarterback to be able to handle criticism better than anyone on the team. Number 6. Mac Jones comes from a family of athletes. Some people are blessed in the generic lottery and others are not, and that's just the way it works. If you're one of those that come from the category of the former, like Mac Jones, then it means you come from a family where everyone's an athlete. Mac Jones' father played college tennis at Florida State and then transferred to Flagler College, where he received national attention for his play and even graced the cover of Sports Illustrated in 1977. He later went on and played professionally throughout the United States and had trials at Wimbledon and other major tournaments. His mother played college tennis at Mercer University and his sister plays at the University of Charleston. Oh yeah, Mac has a brother who played soccer at his mom's alma mater, Mercer University. 5 Joneses, 5 college athletes, and 2 professional athletes. Not bad. Number 5. Mac Jones could speak Mandarin. Mac's teammates calls him the most interesting man in the world, and this one just adds to that sentiment. Jones studied Mandarin back in high school and got pretty good at it. He and his sister, who also speak Mandarin, would communicate in homeroom whenever they wanted to talk about their parents behind their backs or, practice it. Mac has let his Mandarin skills get a little rusty since being at Alabama, but when you ask him to give an example of some of his Mandarin, Mac was able to speak some for the interviewer. Number 4. He was a holder on special teams. No 2 draft prospects have the same paths to the NFL, and for Mac Jones, it's safe to say that his road to national title winner and Heisman finalist is about as unlikely as they come. Back in 2018, Mac Jones appeared in 14 of Alabama's 15 games, with most of his work coming as a holder on special teams. From holder to Heisman finalist, could you think of a more meteoric rise? We can't. In 2018, Mac Jones threw all of 13 passes, completing 5 and added 3 rushes for -8 yards. Fortune certainly found Mac Jones, who also didn't get to take over as starter until Tua Tagovailoa went down with a hip injury. Jones kept his head down and kept working, and now may be the poster boy for hard work and, well, a little luck paying off. As we know, Jones kept the starting job following Tua's misfortune and never looked back. Number 3. Mac Jones is drawing comparisons to Tom Brady. We mentioned the shirtless photo earlier, and this is not the comparison we speak of. After releasing his latest mock draft and mocking Mac Jones being selected by Bill Belichick with the number 15 pick in the 2021 draft, ESPN's draft expert Mel Kiper Jr. asserted that Mac Jones has a lot of Tom Brady in him. Knowing he'd receive flack for the comparison, Mel Kiper further elaborated and said that when he compares the two, he's looking at his accuracy, as well as him being an accurate and tall passer. He says that like Brady, Jones is a pinpoint thrower who can manipulate the pocket and find targets down the field. He also says that like Brady, Jones is a leader in the locker room and that is always a good fit for a franchise. Think Kiper is crazy? He's not the only one. Former Patriots scout Jim Nagy also claimed that there's a lot of Brady similarities there, including being able to sidestep pressure and retreat enough to buy time to make throws, and how they both seemingly have eyes in the back of their head when they're in the pocket. Nagy also went to say that, like Brady, Mac's mental acumen and study habits are off the charts. Maybe there is something to this Mac Jones being Brady-esque after all. How that translates to the NFL remains to be seen. Number 2, Mac Jones and Nick Saban got into it regularly. One thing to know about Mac Jones is that the dude has a personality. Whether he's joking with you or jawing at you, it's usually in good fun. Sometimes that good fun doesn't go over so well. Case in point, Mac Jones deliberately changing one of legendary coach Nick Saban's plays in practice. Saban wanted Mac Jones, a freshman scout team quarterback at the time, to throw up a Hail Mary no matter what, no questions asked, so the defense could practice it. Mac Jones, seeing that someone was left uncovered, decided to throw a screen pass to a wide receiver and then ran behind the wide receiver, who pitched the ball back, and Mac ran it into the end zone. He then went to spike the ball and looked up at the scoreboard. Saban walked up to Jones and proceeded to chew him out for the next 10 minutes, but Mac was reportedly talking back to Saban. Keep in mind, at the time, Mac was buried on the depth chart, and he's lucky that Saban would even know his name, yet he had the audacity to talk smack to him. If that doesn't earn the favor of the guys around you in the locker room, then nothing probably ever will. Number 1, many think Mac Jones will be a bust. While we're talking about the draft, let's stay on what scouts have been saying about Mac for our top spot on this countdown. While some have Mac going as high as 3rd to the San Francisco 49ers, who made a blockbuster move to climb up the draft board, some don't think Mac is anywhere near an elite prospect and shouldn't be a day 1 selection. While Mac had a Heisman finalist season at Alabama, he operated mostly from a clean pocket with multiple first-round receivers who were consistently giving enough time to get separation and make life easy for Mac. When Mac's forced to leave the pocket, which was only on 21 dropbacks in 2020, Mac completed 19 passes for an abysmal 99 yards, took 2 sacks, and 1 touchdown. Mac also only had 71 air yards on those 19 passes. While still very accurate by NFL standards, all those numbers would be considered game manager at best as far as average depth of target, and do not suggest elite-level quarterback, as the criticisms go at least. Not long ago, an elite quarterback used to mean being able to run an offense efficiently while also being tough in the pocket so you could deliver throws while defenders are breathing down your neck. While that's still a huge plus and a staple of being a very capable quarterback, being able to extend a play outside of the pocket is how the game is evolving. Unless you're in that upper echelon of pocket passers, the game is passing by you. Mac was great from the pocket at Alabama, and who's to say what he will develop into at the next level given the system he falls into and his work ethic. But if Mac doesn't evolve, then the player that's been booming up the draft boards could very well be a bust. The ball, as they say, is in Mac's hands. If Nagy and Kiper are correct, he'll be just fine. For our honorable mention, unless you're a Mac Jones fan or one of the Crimson Tide faithful, you may not have known that Mac Jones originally committed to Kentucky before finally being flipped by Saban in Alabama. Jones made the announcement via Twitter to thank the University of Kentucky for recruiting him, however, he couldn't pass up the opportunity of a lifetime with Alabama. Alright, sports fans, that does it for our time on Alabama quarterback and soon-to-be NFL quarterback Mac Jones, and 10 things about him you hopefully did not know. Let us know what you thought about this list in the comments below, and as always, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on this channel and get more videos just like this. Until next time, sports fans.